I talk a lot on here about utopias and why I think it's important for our culture to have a lot more of them than we currently do, because we can't possibly build a better future if we can't imagine it first. And one of the main bits of pushback I get when people hear that is they say, yeah, but utopias are really, really boring. Now, I understand what they're saying, which is that if you create a perfect world in which all of our problems are solved, then there's no conflict. And if there's no conflict, it's going to make for a really, really, really boring story. And that's not a problem you have with dystopias, because the world you've built is awful, so there's just conflict springing up from everywhere. So in that sense, it is easier to write a dystopia than it is to write a utopia, but there's already so many good utopias out there that have never had a problem coming up with good conflicts. And the best example I can possibly give you is Star Trek, one of the most successful franchises in media history. In the 1960s, when Gene Roddenberry was developing Star Trek, there were all of these tensions that were ripping America apart. And part of his plan in developing the show was to try and imagine a future in which all of those tensions had been worked through and we progressed to a better future. But that better future also meant exploring outer space, and that meant aliens, and you never run out of conflict when it comes to aliens. But you do not need epic space battles to make for good conflict in a utopia. My favorite modern utopia is Becky Chambers' Monk and Robot books. There are two of them out, they're super short, and they are delightful. And the stakes in these books could not be lower. The main character in these books is a monk who just makes tea for people to make them feel a little bit better. And at one point, they just decide that they need a little bit of a break. And because Chambers is such a good writer, it makes for amazing reading. There was never any point during this book where I was bored and wanted to put it down. So please don't believe the utopias are boring cliche. It is true that they require a little bit more imaginative work from their writers, but we have more than enough talented writers and artists out there who are capable of imagining an amazing future and are also capable of finding a way to throw some problems into their characters' lives.